And then there is this other camp who thinks that those people should shut the up.
Stop this whining, stop the complaining, stop trying to be the cool, cynical kids.
I would not want to be in a foxhole with any of the people who, were clutching their pearls all of a sudden.
Pearl clutching and hand wringing.
We're bedwetting and soaking all the way through the mattress.
We panic and piss our pants.
First of all, I'm not sure incontinence is the metaphor you want to go with.
Jon Stewart, the iconic comedian and former host of The Daily Show, has never shied away from calling out media hypocrisy. In a recent commentary, he took aim at MSNBC and CNN for their biased reporting, especially around significant events like the Syrian war, the pandemic, and even a manipulated image of President Biden.
When are we going to free Senator Fetterman from the Turkish prison he's being held in? I don't know. Piss his pants. But to those of you who say these concerns are simple pearl wetting and bed clutching, we all make mistakes, I thought I would take a moment to explain where the concern about Biden's performance might be coming from, and why these concerns may be seen as a more foundational issue. You see, even before the debate, there had been some troubling moments of disconnect from the president.
Stewart's critique is a refreshing call for honesty in journalism, exposing how these networks prioritize sensationalism over truth. This is not just about protecting viewers from disturbing content. It's about pushing a narrative that suits their agenda.
Recognizable to, unfortunately, anybody who's dealt with aging parents, and it's a hard watch. But there were many viewers who felt it was not as noteworthy as Biden's opponent in the debate.
It's pretty amazing that, 90% of the conversation is around Joe Biden's style. When up on that stage, Donald Trump was engaged in a level of pathological lying that we've never seen.
Shouldn't the discussions also be about Trump's fitness to serve?
Every time he opened his mouth, he said something insane or that was a lie. Why aren't there calls for Trump to drop out? Where are they?
Yeah. Why doesn't anyone ever speak out about Donald Trump? Or let's say every night for 10 years.
One of the most striking points Stewart made was about the media's selective sensitivity. Remember the images of the Syrian war, where networks like CNN and MSNBC plastered the screens with graphic, heart-wrenching photos, or their exhaustive coverage of the pandemic, focusing on the most terrifying aspects?
Welcome to The Daily Show. My name is Jon Stewart, and we are back, baby. By the way, I want to start off very quickly and mention a very quick congratulations to England and France, who held their elections to great success. We would talk about them tonight, but we're in America. So... last week we did a live show after the debate. Where did we leave off? This cannot be real life. It just can't.
Yet, when it came to a manipulated image of President Biden, they decided it was too disturbing to show. This inconsistency isn't about protecting viewers from disturbing images. It's about protecting political allies and avoiding controversy.
Horrible, horrible, violent imagery.
Violent and dehumanizing imagery.
We're only going to show you a clip of this briefly.
All right, that's enough. Let's take it down.
Stewart saw right through this hypocrisy. He pointed out that the refusal to show the image wasn't about sparing the audience, but about maintaining a narrative. When the content aligns with their agenda, these networks are all for it.
I didn't get to see it at all. This has got to be devastating. News channels show images from Ukraine, from Gaza, from natural disasters. They get through them dispassionately. I can't imagine how devastating this footage must be.
But when it might cast a favored political figure in a bad light, they suddenly become sensitive. This selective outrage not only undermines their credibility, but also exposes their real priorities, pushing a political narrative rather than informing the public.
As a stutter.
He hasn't debated in 4 years.
He was almost over-prepared.
He had an off night. People have an off night.
You know, the president traveled 6 time zones forward to G7, and he was also continued to do his presidential duties. And also he had a cold. He was jet lagged.
He'd been home for almost 2 weeks. He was jet lagged? How big is that f***ing jet?
The media's shift towards sensationalism is another critical issue Stewart highlighted. CNN and MSNBC have increasingly become more like tabloids, prioritizing sensational stories to drive ratings. This approach often comes at the expense of objectivity and truth. Take, for instance, their over-the-top reactions to that Biden image. They hyped it up, building it into something monstrous, only to reveal that it was more political theater than genuine news.
I don't know that you have the mental acuity to be operating a motor vehicle. But if you do think that, I should also probably explain to you that trucks also don't actually have testicles. It's just a novelty item. And
Stewart's critique goes beyond this one instance. He reminded us of numerous examples where these networks used emotional, often graphic content to push a political agenda. Remember when CNN broadcast the image of the bloodied Syrian boy pulled from rubble, or their non-stop alarmist coverage of the missing Malaysian Airlines flight? These stories were designed to tug at our heartstrings and sway public opinion, rather than simply inform us. It's a tactic that keeps viewers glued to the screen, but erodes trust in the long run.
We can't go against the will of the voters. Democrats who voted in all 50 states in the primary, that is who they want to be their nominee.
He's the nominee because millions and millions of people voted for him to be our nominee. And he will be our nominee. End of story.
there was no real primary. Biden ran against Dean Phillips. That's not even a real person. That's a stock photo on the package for a garden hose. It's not a person. It's AI.
Stewart also touched on a broader issue, the erosion of trust in mainstream media. CNN and MSNBC's relentless bias and sensationalism have led to a significant decline in their credibility. Viewers are tuning out because they can sense when they're being manipulated.
Former President Donald Trump shared a video, this one, on his Truth Social account featuring an image of President Joe Biden hogtied on the back of a pickup truck.
That's what was so disturbing and dehumanizing. You wouldn't show it on television, and an airbrushed Biden decal on the back of a truck was...
According to data, CNN's ratings took a nosedive after Donald Trump left office in 2020, with a 44% drop in primetime viewership in the first quarter of 2021 compared to the previous year. MSNBC didn't fare much better, with a 19% decline. This isn't just political fatigue, it's people catching on to the bias and sensationalism. A Gallup survey revealed that trust in the media is at an all-time low, with only 36% of Americans expressing a great deal or fair amount of trust in mass media.
Authoritarianism and Donald Trump aren't the only threats our democracy faces. An arthritic status quo, unable or unwilling to respond in any way to the concerns of voters who just received new and urgent information about their candidate, also erodes confidence and faith in the system of government. Get on board or shut the up.
For networks like CNN and MSNBC, often seen as leaning too far left, this trust deficit is even more pronounced. People are tired of being talked down to and bombarded with alarmist, breaking news banners that often amount to nothing more than hype. Stewart's commentary serves as a reminder that while it's essential to inform the public about serious issues, the way these networks do it often borders on fear-mongering. They focus on the most dramatic aspects, like overwhelmed hospitals and high death tolls during the pandemic, rather than providing balanced information. It's a tactic that keeps viewers engaged, but also contributes to a more polarized and fearful society.
This trial will obviously be a test of the fairness of the American legal system. But it's also a test of the media's ability to cover Donald Trump in a responsible way, a task they have acknowledged they've performed poorly in the past.
I think to the degree that the media had lessons to learn in 2016, they seem to have been learned.
It was irresponsible for cable news networks to give Donald Trump hours and hours of free airtime.
Way too much speculation and liberal wishful thinking and attempts to connect dots that did not connect.
Stewart's point is clear. The selective sensitivity of networks like CNN and MSNBC reveals their bias. They're willing to show all sorts of violent and graphic content when it suits their purpose, but they draw the line when it might make a political ally look bad. This selective outrage not only undermines their credibility, but also shows that their primary goal isn't to inform the public objectively, but to shape the narrative in a way that benefits their interests. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below,